The woman laughed. A cold, mocking laugh that echoed across the shiny marble floor of the dealership. "That car is too expensive for you, kid," she said. "Loud enough for everyone to hear. You can't afford to even touch it." The boy, maybe 14, 15 at most, stood frozen beside the bright red sports car. His hand hovered just inches above the polished hood, not touching, just admiring. But the damage was done. Heads turned. Whispers started. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't loud. He wasn't careless. He was just curious, wide-eyed, dreaming. But in that moment, the woman dressed in heels and a blazer with the dealership's logo decided he didn't belong, not because of anything he said or did, but because of what he looked like. A young black boy in a hoodie, alone, surrounded by six-figure cars. Her smirk deepened as he stepped back, embarrassed, eyes cast down. "Maybe you should wait outside, sweetie," she added, her voice dripping with fake politeness. "We have serious buyers in here." He didn't say a word, not yet, but the silence. It said everything. His pride was crushed, his excitement turned into shame in seconds. What the woman didn't know, what she couldn't have imagined, was that this boy's story wasn't over, not even close, because someone was about to walk through that door, and her world was about to flip upside down. Just a few hours earlier, Marcus was smiling ear to ear as he walked out of school. His backpack bounced on his shoulder, and he clutched a folded magazine page in his hand, the same page he'd been staring at every night for weeks. On it was a picture of a red sports car. Sleek, powerful, beautiful, that was his dream car. He didn't want it today. He knew better than that. Marcus was smart, mature beyond his age. He knew how money worked. He knew his dad had other priorities, bills, food, rent, but just seeing the car in person, that would be enough for now. His dad had promised, "We'll stop by the dealership after school, all right, just for a few minutes." Marcus couldn't wait. He wore a plain black hoodie, a pair of clean jeans, and sneakers that were starting to wear out. Nothing expensive, nothing designer, just simple clothes that made him feel comfortable. When he got to the dealership, his dad was running a few minutes late from a meeting, so Marcus, full of excitement, stepped inside alone. The place was quiet, classy, almost too perfect. The floors gleamed. The windows were spotless, and there it was, the car, red, shiny and more stunning than he had imagined. His eyes lit up. He walked toward it slowly, like he was approaching a celebrity. He didn't touch it. He just stared, admired, dreamed. He didn't notice the woman watching him from behind the counter. He had no idea that his quiet admiration was about to turn into humiliation, and the moment that would change everything was seconds away. Marcus didn't hear her heels at first. He was too focused on the car, its smooth curves, the shine of the rims, the way the light hit the red paint just right. Then a voice broke the silence. "Well, well, are you lost, sweetheart?" He turned around, surprised. A tall woman in a sleek blazer was standing behind him. Her name tag read Miss Reynolds. She wore a wide, practiced smile, but her eyes were cold. "No, ma'am," Marcus replied politely. "I'm just waiting for my dad." She took a step closer, arms crossed. "Are you sure? Because you're standing really close to a car that costs more than some people's houses." Marcus nodded, still calm. "I'm not touching it. I just really like this one." Her smile faded. "Well, let me make something clear," she said, her voice sharper now. "These cars aren't here for kids to play around, and they're definitely not free to just admire." Marcus blinked, taken aback. "I wasn't playing, She cut him off. "Look," she said with a little laugh. "I don't know what kind of place you thought this was, but this isn't a mall, it's a luxury dealership. These vehicles are for real buyers." He stayed silent. He could feel eyes on him, other employees nearby, pretending not to listen. No one stepped in. She kept going. "Maybe wait outside for your dad. We can't have people like you loitering near the inventory." Marcus swallowed hard. The words hit him like punches. "People like you." He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just gave a small nod, stepped away from the car, and sat down quietly on the edge of a waiting bench. His heart pounded. His throat was tight, but he wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing him cry. He just waited, because his dad was coming, and things were about to change. The glass doors slid open with a quiet whoosh. Marcus looked up. Relief flooded his face. "Dad," he called out, rushing to him. Mr. Thompson stepped in with steady steps. He wasn't flashy, just a clean-cut man in a sharp dark suit, calm, collected. The kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to command a room. As Marcus reached him, he wrapped his arms around his dad tightly. Mr. Thompson bent slightly, holding him for a moment, confused but gentle. "Hey buddy," he said softly, "what's wrong?" Marcus looked up at him, eyes glassy but brave. He hesitated, glancing over at Miss Reynolds, who was now standing with her arms folded, watching with an amused smirk. "I was just looking at the car," Marcus whispered. "The red one. I didn't touch it. But, the lady said I shouldn't be here, that people like me don't belong." Mr. Thompson's expression didn't change much, but his jaw tightened ever so slightly. His hand stayed steady on Marcus's shoulder. "I see," he said quietly. Then he turned toward Miss Reynolds. "Excuse me," he said politely. "Could you please get your manager? I'd like to have a word." Miss Reynolds tilted her head, clearly not taking him seriously. "If this is about your son misunderstanding our policies," Mr. Thompson held up a hand calmly. "The manager please," she scoffed. "Fine," she muttered, turning on her heel. Marcus stood close to his dad, still holding on to the edge of his jacket. Mr. Thompson gave his son a reassuring look. "Don't worry," he said softly, "let's handle this the right way." What Miss Reynolds didn't realize was that this wasn't just a conversation, it was the beginning of a lesson she would never forget. A few minutes later, the manager appeared. He was a thin man in his 40s, with a polite smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Good afternoon," he said, approaching carefully. "I'm Derek, the floor manager. How can I help you, sir?" Mr. Thompson didn't move, didn't shift his tone. He spoke slowly, clearly. "My son came in to admire a car." He was quiet, respectful, but instead of being welcomed, or even ignored, he was humiliated. The manager's smile faltered. "I'm very sorry to hear that," he said quickly. "I'm sure there was some misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding, no misunderstanding," Mr. Thompson said, still calm. "She told him he didn't belong. That people like him shouldn't be near your cars." Miss Reynolds rolled her eyes. "I was just doing my job," she muttered. "We have rules. This isn't a playground." Mr. Thompson turned to her, then back to the manager. "Is this how you treat all your customers?" he asked quietly. "Or just the young black ones?" The question hit like thunder. Silence filled the room. No one moved. Even the other staff nearby froze. Derek cleared his throat, his voice now shaky. "Of course not, sir. We value all our customers equally." "Good," Mr. Thompson said, then he straightened his jacket, glanced at Marcus, and looked back at the manager. "Because I'd like to buy a car today." Eyes widened. The room shifted. Miss Reynolds blinked, her smirk vanishing. "You, what?" she stammered. "I came here with my son," Mr. Thompson said calmly, "to buy him his dream car." And just like that, the entire energy in the dealership changed. What was once judgment and mockery turned to stunned silence. But Mr. Thompson wasn't done yet. The room was still spinning from Mr. Thompson's quiet declaration, but he wasn't finished. He looked at the manager. "Actually, I'd like to speak to the owner." The manager shifted uncomfortably. "I'm afraid the owner isn't on site today." Mr. Thompson simply smiled. "That's fine. I've been in talks with him already." He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a neatly bound folder. Legal documents, contracts, signatures. He opened them slowly, placing them on a nearby desk. "I've been negotiating to purchase a dealership for a few months now," he said evenly. "Looking for the right location, the right staff, the right opportunity." He looked straight at Miss Reynolds, whose face had lost all color. This one just made itself available. The manager leaned in, scanning the papers, his face going pale. This is a purchase agreement," he stammered. "That's correct." Mr. Thompson nodded. Your owner and I have had several conversations. He was waiting on my final visit before we closed. He picked up his phone, dialed a number and stepped aside. A brief, quiet conversation followed. Polite, professional. Then he returned, calm as ever. It's done, he said, effective immediately. I own this dealership. You could hear a pin drop. Miss Reynolds took a step back. You're the new owner. He nodded once. I am. Then he looked at his son, who was now wide-eyed, stunned, trying to understand what just happened. This was supposed to be a fun afternoon, Mr. Thompson said, voice softer now. Just a father showing his son the car he's always loved. He glanced around, but maybe it needed to be more than that. He turned to the manager. I'll need a staff meeting first thing tomorrow. We have a few policies to discuss. Then finally, he looked back at Miss Reynolds. She couldn't meet his eyes, and in that silence, everything shifted. Not because he raised his voice. Not because he fought back with anger, but because he let respect, patience and quiet power speak louder than hate ever could. With the deal finalized and the ownership transferred, Mr. Thompson turned to the manager and said, "Gather everyone please. I'd like to speak with the team." Within minutes, the staff stood in a semicircle in the showroom. Some looked curious, others confused. Miss Reynolds stood off to the side, arms crossed, still wearing that smug look, convinced the storm had passed. Mr. Thompson stood tall, calm as ever. As the new owner, he began, his voice steady but firm. "There's one thing I want everyone here to understand." He paused, letting the silence settle. "I believe in hard work, I believe in fairness, and most of all, I believe in respect, for every single person who walks through those doors." He looked around slowly, then his eyes landed on Miss Reynolds. "And I will not tolerate discrimination or cruelty from anyone on my team." She straightened, confused. "Wait, what are you saying?" Mr. Thompson didn't flinch. "Miss Reynolds, your behavior today was unacceptable. Effective immediately. You're dismissed from your position." Gasps echoed through the room. One of the younger staff members clapped softly, another followed. Miss Reynolds stood frozen. No words, no defense. Just silence. Mr. Thompson turned to Marcus, who had watched the whole thing quietly from the side. He stepped forward, and placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "Son," he said gently, "never let anyone tell you what you can't afford, or who you are." Marcus looked up at him, eyes wide, heart full. He had come to see a car, instead he saw what true strength looked like, and the moment would stay with him forever. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Marcus and his father stepped out of the dealership side by side, heads held high. No more tears, no more tension, just pride. Sitting in front of them was the red sports car, the one Marcus had dreamed about for months. Its sleek body gleamed in the golden light. It was everything he'd imagined, and more. Mr. Thompson walked over to the receptionist, and quietly finished the purchase. But when they returned, he tossed the keys in his hand and smiled. "I bought it," he said. Marcus's mouth dropped open. "For me," his father chuckled. "No son, this one's for me." Marcus blinked, a little confused. "One day," Mr. Thompson continued, placing a hand on his son's shoulder, "you'll earn your own, and when you do, you'll appreciate it even more." Marcus nodded slowly. He understood. It wasn't about giving him everything. It was about teaching him what mattered. They got into the car, father in the driver's seat, son beside him. As they pulled away from the dealership, Marcus looked out the window, deep in thought. He wasn't just leaving a building, he was leaving behind a lesson he'd never forget. The truth is, this story was never about a car. It wasn't about money, or revenge. It was about dignity, about standing tall, even when others try to push you down. It was about a father teaching his son the power of self-worth, the importance of patience, and the strength that comes from knowing who you are, even when others don't. Marcus didn't need that car to feel powerful. He had something much greater. He had a role model, a father who showed him that respect isn't demanded with anger, but earned through grace. So, to anyone watching this, remember this: your worth isn't measured by what you wear, where you shop, or what you drive. It's measured by how you carry yourself, especially when the world underestimates you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. Your words mean the world to us, and if you want more inspiring, real and powerful stories just like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. These stories aren't just entertainment, they're reminders of strength, dignity and hope. So go ahead, share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.